And today we'll be looking at the Ghana Football Association presidential roadmap. I'm looking at the elections that is upon us. We'll be looking at that very, very shortly. And then we'll also be looking at the Ghana Premier League fixtures, the Women's World Cup happening in Australia and New Zealand, and how one of the mighties has fallen. We'll also look at the English Community Shield, a small issue as that. And then we'll also focus on the European transfers. So if you're expecting Caicedo, for example, it just could be happening. If you are done with your transfers like Arsenal, maybe you are content. So there's so much to look forward to. We'll be starting with the English Community Shield. Of course, I'm joined in the studio by Aniela Alote, and she is already beaming with smiles.
It's a great day. It's a great day. You know, immediately after the game, I called my dear brother, Yao Fosulabi, for some celebration.
To say what?
But then he said I shouldn't call him on WhatsApp and hang up. That's what happened.
So the latter you heard is actually Yao. Yao, why? Why?
No, because he called me on WhatsApp. And I'm like, so your team has won. You can't even spend credit to call me.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, your team has won.
I mean, in your.
I'll be calling him a lot this season. That's why I wanted to start with a WhatsApp.
Oh, so you'll be calling a lot this season.
Yeah.
So what about when the whole system fails and you lose like you did last 5 games of the season last season?
I think that's rather unfair.
Would you still be calling Yao?
It's rather unfair for you to say that.
Oh, you lost your voice suddenly?
That was me watching the game. After Palmer's goal, it was as though...
You mean Wilfredo Sepama? Oreku is also with us here in the studio. Oreku, good evening.
Hey, good evening.
You are not so happy. Why? Nkunku's injury?
Oh, there's no problem at all. There's Mudryk.
Oh, there's Mudryk.
Yeah.
Hey! When did Mudryk become such an inspiration to Chelsea fans?
Oh, second season syndrome. He's back now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gladiator is back.
Yeah. You have Mudryk, you have Jackson. Why should you?
I mean, what's there to worry about? So you mean they are your own version of Benzema, Vinicius Jr.?
Yeah. We'll terrorize defenses.
Oh. Better than Havertz, right?
Oh, crap.
Anyway, so let's go on straight to the Arsenal-Man City conversation. And the Gunners have gone down Man City, as should be. Aniela.
Theory almost did not happen. Let's be very honest.
So I should be there. I should cancel it.
Yeah, you should cancel it. As it shouldn't have been, but it was. That's what we should say. Okay. But there, going into the game, I saw the lineup. I wasn't at all upset with the lineup, but I would have expected to see Trossard in there. That was going to be my issue. But when we started the game as well, Arsenal fans always trying to keep the hope, keep the faith in there. But City were quite dominant in there, and we missed a few crucial chances. When some of the changes started coming in there, I was wondering what he was doing, what Pep was doing, taking out Haaland. But when the Palmer goal came on, then I saw that I knew exactly what Pep was doing at the time. But even towards the very last moment of the game, all hope was lost at that point. And I think there was a collision between Kyle and Partey that sort of extended our time a little, because while they were taking care of them, it extended the time a bit more into the 100th minute of the game. And so at that point, I was like, Saka, what do you have? What do the boys have for us? But then Saka was in there, Partey was in there, White was in there, Trossard, beautiful, glorious Trossard. And also the fabulous Fabio Vieira was in there as well. And then they made it happen. In there. I don't know what Akanji was doing, but he couldn't. And then we got the goal in there. Trossard did everything that he was supposed to do. When it got into the penalty shootout, not a single miss. Theory, not even one miss. It was precise.
But to win the Premier League, you don't need a penalty shootout to do that. So I'm wondering what your ambition is.
You don't need that, but we already had some training from the Emirates Cup, which we won as well.
No, I'm saying, how does a penalty shootout help you to win the
boys are prepared for anything.
Oh.
They're definitely prepared. No, I'm not done. But at the end of the day, we lifted that title so beautifully. I think that the boys did what they could. I wasn't really pleased with Declan Rice's performance, but I think that what he may have, yes, exactly, and like what Oreku said, even if he doesn't make it this season, second season syndrome.
Is this Community Shield anything to work with, looking at what the season could be for Arsenal, Man City?
I think Arsenal's biggest problem has always been that kind of a mental block anytime they face teams like this. And for them to win today in the fashion that they won, it means that they are slowly breaking the glass ceiling. And I said last season, and I'm going to say it again, that Arsenal look like a really different team in the last 3 years. And the more they do things like this, the closer they get to winning the big things. Because they have a really good team. And I mean, I'm not too worried about Declan Rice. I think that the major thing about Arsenal's season will be keeping Partey. It wouldn't be the signing of Declan Rice. It will be actually keeping Thomas Partey.
Why?
Because today, if Partey wasn't in the game today, it probably wouldn't have ended the way it did.
So what went wrong last season to spark Arsenal searching for, another central midfielder?
You see, and that's what I'm going to come to. The thing is that with now that you have Rice, you can alter the midfield in many ways but one. Last season, they relied on Partey too much until the end of the season, where about 3-4 games to go, and then he was overstretched, and then they just couldn't get it. Now they have another person in there. There are games where Partey can rest. For instance, a Carabao Cup game where
is that where you use Rice?
No, I'm not saying that's where you use Rice, but you won't have to use Partey in every game
because Rice can double up.
Rice can also double up in those games, and that's what will help Arsenal this season. But I like what I saw today. I think that they really
I look at that Arsenal midfield. Now, I'm saying if it were a different team, we'll be saying this is a world-beating midfield. I mean, they have Rice, they have Partey, they have Odegaard, and that's a trio that can do damage to any team.
You shouldn't just say Odegaard. Captain, fantastic.
Who is that? Odegaard himself. And to think they have Jorginho on the bench.
Exactly.
They have a few others, who could just.
That's what we call options.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. Now, and that's why I'm saying that they are huge contenders for the title because they can alter their midfield in many ways. And that's what's going to really, really help Arsenal. But I am really excited about this Arsenal win. I think that every now and then Guardiola needs to be shot back down to earth because
and this is it.
Yeah, because he usually feels like this.
No, but has this not also come too early for Guardiola to know that? So he now has 12 months to work around knowing that Arsenal wasn't just a one-season wonder.
Oh, no,
and he needs to step up.
No, you see that.
I mean, imagine if this thing came in April, then it would have just caused the shock. You see, he would have lost titles.
The thing is that if Man City are at 100%, everybody else is hovering around 85 or 82, and that's where Arsenal is. The rest of them are 79 going on.
The rest,
you understand? And for a team like Liverpool, for instance, they have not also been really good in the last season. Next season, the Europa League would affect them a bit more. They will be overstretched in games and stuff like that. So I think City are still the team to beat. But it just helps that Arsenal try to close the gap a bit like they did today.
Oreku, would Arsenal win the title?
Premier League?
Yes.
Oreku,
tough to call at this time. Especially because I don't place any significance on the Community Shield at all. I think it's just another friendly game. If you win it, cool. It's probably a plate.
I concur.
A trophy that adds, not because Arsenal won it, but we've seen Manchester City lose this and go on to dominate the Premier League. It doesn't. Look at Liverpool. Liverpool won it last year. Everyone thought Liverpool were going to be the side to beat. Haaland was not going to crack the Premier League. First, you have the former going on to have a terrible season, missing out on Champions League, and then Haaland breaking the goal record in the Premier League. So it's just a one-off game. It's a game that comes at a very early part of the season. It's really difficult to measure how it will impact a 9-month season, especially considering the fact that you have to look at factors such as Pep Guardiola giving his side an extra rest. They played 2 weeks after everyone had played. Came back from pre-season late, have only played 3 friendlies as opposed to Arsenal, who are heading into 5, 6, 7 games. And so, I mean, City are not at their sharpest. This will not be the same City side in March, April. And so it's good mentally for Arsenal that they've been able to get one on City. But it doesn't count so much because the season is really long. And it'll be difficult to tell who would win the Premier League going from here. But one thing you don't want to do is step on Guardiola's toes. And I think that's what Arsenal and the referees might have done. I'm still puzzled as to why we had 8 minutes of added time. I understand there's a new rule that's being introduced in the Premier League going forward, and the English football pyramid, which is similar to the World Cup style where we had 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes. In fact, officials have been quoted saying that we could be seeing 100 minutes becoming the norm in Premier League football, and that's because the referees feel like the average time that the ball spent in the Premier League last season was around 55 minutes, and it gets lower down the English football pyramid, and so they want to address that issue. But my only disagreement with this whole thing is that all of these tiny manipulations of the game is taking away the natural feel from it, because you can't tell me players walking to go and pick a ball to throw, you are adding that time up. I didn't, for one, see Manchester City deliberately waste any time in this game. I don't know whether the panel thinks same, but I didn't see Man City players slow down the game, kicking the ball away, doing stuff that you could deliberately see that, this team is wasting time, so 8 minutes is justified. It was all these corner kicks, throw-ins, they happen. And my point is, Thierry, if you add 8 minutes, in those 8 minutes, there will be throw-ins, there will be corner kicks. So what happens? Are we in an endless loop? Are we going to play the game forever? If you really want to play that 90 minutes of action, those are some of the questions that have to be asked. And most importantly, Thierry, it gets to a point where players don't even know when the game will end anymore. That's too much prerogative given to the referee. Because imagine, there's a throw-in, there's a corner kick in the 8 minutes of added time, and now referee thinks I have to add 20, 30 more. And the players don't know. They are playing and they don't know when the game will end. And I think it's just not fair. It's just an unnecessary change in the look, there are a lot more things that needs addressing. Why are players showing yellow cards for taking off their jerseys? There are other things that need more clamping down than adding these minutes. And it's just what I think. But yeah, I don't think the committee should determine who will win the Premier League. In
a nutshell, one of these useless decisions is the reason why Arsenal found themselves back in a game against Man City. Nutshell. Anela, you say?
Why? I just came in here excited,
it's ready
a curtain
raiser.
Just ready to share my joy.
Raiser.
Last season,
it's a curtain
you guys
raiser.
just slapped all the wind out of our sails. It was met with sadness. Now we've come in here. The community shield, it was glorious. It took a lot. It took a lot to get the ball back into the game. We did it. We did it. Look how happy the players. Look at Odegaard. The whole season, what happened to him? But look at him here. Happy.
Yeah, everyone is happy.
Look at Declan Rice. Look at Saliba, for crying out loud. Look at Ramsdale. Had it not been for Ramsdale,
this effectively is equal to the Premier League Summer Series in the USA that Chelsea won.
You can't put down the same level.
You say?
You can't put down the
this
same
one match,
level.
That one they played like 7 games.
And you still finished 12th last.
It's so easy to get on your nerves.
We won and we
your mic is off, thank you. Anyway, so we move on from here. Today I'm sticking to time. Producer, I hope you will clap for me at the end of it all. So that will be all for the Community Shield. We go straight to women's football. Of course, Ghana wasn't part. I'm talking about the World Cup. We have a special guest in our studio today, and he'll be touching more on some of these things. I won't give him an opportunity to think before he comes. He takes up the seat. So I won't give him any ideas. But basically, the Women's World Cup is still ongoing in Australia and New Zealand. And let me just, walk you through what the games have looked like, especially in the third round of the group stages. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Or I'm not. Okay, so let's go straight. Netherlands beat South Africa by 2-0. I'll tell you the implications of these results. There is Japan also beating Norway by 3-1. Spain thrashed Switzerland by 5-1. Germany drew 1-1 with South Korea. Morocco beat Colombia by 1-0. There is Jamaica, Brazil drawing 0-0. Okay, that was earlier. So the third round of the group stage will be like that. France against, Panama ended 6-3 in favor of Hervé Renard's side. South Africa beating Italy earlier. So let's just go straight to the standings and see what it means. Now in Group A, okay, actually I need to get to the round of 16. So the round of 16, Spain beat Switzerland 5-1. Netherlands beating South Africa 2-0. Japan beating Norway 3-1. And then Sweden also eliminating United States of America via penalty shootout. There are 4 more games to be played tomorrow and then on Tuesday. And that's England against Nigeria. There's Colombia against Jamaica. There's Australia against Denmark. And then there's France against Morocco. But effectively, we didn't get the opportunity to talk about the group stage before the knockout stage began. And 3 African teams marched to the round of 16. That's Morocco, South Africa, and then Nigeria. As of now, it is only Nigeria and then Morocco who are still in it. The only African team to have played already, did that against Netherlands. That's South Africa, and then they lost. So let's get into it then. Let's first of all tackle the African sides, guys, before we look at the big exits. So Nigeria, South Africa, Morocco. Were you surprised? Oreko?
I think so. And perhaps it's time that Africa got a lot more credit than they deserve at the world stage. Yeah. You need some context to understand where, as a continent, we're coming from. You just look at the just ended, not just ended, but I mean, time has passed now. 2022 World Cup, that was last year, and so there's been time now. But you look at the performance of African countries, the likes of Tunisia winning. You had Senegal going into the group stage, Morocco going all the way to the semi-finals, and just some inches away from the third place. You had Ghana also winning a game at the tournament, and I think it speaks of perhaps the quality that Africa is starting to possess. I even forgot about Cameroon beating Brazil in the World Cup. So maybe it's not up there in terms of where people would expect to see the continent, but there has been slow strikes. There was a time where in the World Cup the continent was struggling for just a win. Mm-hmm. Now we have teams going all the way into the quarterfinals, semi-finals, some even reaching the round of 16, and some are at least picking up wins in the group stages. So I think there is a gradual improvement in the quality of players, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, I think the technical aspects, that's the coaching gap, is also being closed. And that has also resulted in this upsurge where you're seeing in the women's game, for instance, Morocco heavily investing in their coaching, personnel, and then the players as well. And I think quite a number of steps have been taken. You're looking at Nigeria, Morocco, South Africa, and even Zambia, who got knocked out themselves, ended up picking up a win in their final group game as well. So it's been good strides by the African countries, but you look at those three and the countries that they have to face, a bit of a Herculean task with what they have to navigate to be able to reach a quarterfinal stage. I predicted one upset at least, but unfortunately that hasn't happened, and it's just been South Africa, Netherlands. I would have thought that perhaps maybe the game between Morocco and France could pull one, with regards to the upsets, because we've not really seen France hit fourth, fifth gear. I think at best they've just been somewhere around third gear under Hervé Renard, and maybe the appointment came a bit too soon. But in the group stages, they struggled against Jamaica. In their second game against Brazil, they found a way in the latter stages of the game. And the final group game, conceding 3 goals to Panama, that was just shocking.
That was crazy.
And so France, I think there is that little space and gap that Morocco could exploit. As a team, they're very compact. I don't know what happened between their first game and now, but they've transformed totally from their squad that conceded 6 against Germany to becoming a very resilient team. And that perhaps is the foundation that they need going forward. And if I'm to tip one African country to make it to the quarterfinals, I think it would be that game between Morocco and France.
Wow, that would definitely be very interesting. But Aniela,
honestly,
women's World Cup.
Going into the tournament, I don't think a lot of people gave any of the African teams a chance, because if you should look at most of the predictions, I don't think a lot of them had an African team featuring in there. But it's quite interesting to see 3 of them at least make it out there into the knockout stages, and give African children all over the world the belief that they too can do it and they too can compete. I was actually rooting a bit for Zambia in the very beginning, but when I looked at their group again, look at them, Japan and Spain, and we're seeing it again in just the most recent games played. Look at Japan against Norway 3-1. Look at Spain against Switzerland 5-1. I saw obviously it was really tough competition, but I don't think the performance that they put up either was too shabby. I must say that I was quite disappointed in seeing South Africa bow out in that manner. But I think that to get to that stage in the first place is a huge feat for them. So no harm done. Like Oreku was saying, I thought the upset was rather going to come in the France-Morocco. I don't know. I was just a little... jittery about that particular game, but it's yet to happen. So we'll see how that goes. Again, a lot of faith in there with the Nigerian side. I mean, Lauren James is all over the place, but Alozito is also all over the place. And the Nigerian girls are doing amazing things in different fields of play. Actually, we're seeing what the basketball team is doing in there as well. So again, I am quite happy with the way the performances have gone now, and I'm hopeful that at least an African team will just sneak in there. It's the hope that kills us, an Arsenal fan, but hopefully the hope doesn't kill any African team.
It's interesting that Nigeria are opening a lot of doors, including paying players directly. But I mean, it's just a hard lesson that African teams continue to learn, or African countries continue to learn at international tournaments. Yeah. But I am particularly proud to see Nigeria, South Africa, Morocco get to the knockout stages. I mean, it's huge.
I am proud about South Africa and Morocco. I wake up early in the morning to hate on Nigeria, and so I just hope that they are beaten by 5 goals in the next. What's this? What is it?
Let him finish. Let him make his point.
I hope they get beaten by England. In the next stage of the competition. I was hoping that the South Africans will qualify, but they just couldn't do it. And also Morocco, I'm looking at how they're going to get into that France game and try to do something. But that also looks like an uphill task. And so it looks like Africa will be left with no representation in the next... I mean, can you just be...
I mean, just be real.
You have to be real about it. I don't know why...
I mean, England, for me, are now the favourites.
Yeah, exactly.
There is France, who are obviously world beaters, when it comes to football.
Exactly.
And I don't see how Morocco stands.
No, you see, the thing is, a lot of the time people say, it's football, anything can happen, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes you just have to look at it on face value. Just look at how the two teams have played and all of that. Nigeria have a really good team. They can actually beat England. But for me, I mean, this is not me being a sports journalist, just me being a Ghanaian hating on Nigeria, and I don't want them to qualify. So I just hope that England beats them, even though they can beat England. But when you look, that's what I'm saying, when you compare Nigeria to England...
I mean, England are by far, the better.
The thing is, by far, but it's not that much of a stretch if you consider it. Because on a very good day, if you hand Oshola 3 chances, she scores 3 goals. And then they close shop. You understand? But if England go into that game thinking that they've already won it, I'm sorry, but they might not get it at all, because the Nigerians are very resilient people. The team looks like they want to do something. And look at what they've gone through all the way to where they've gotten to now. It just shows like they have a bit of mental toughness in their team, and then they are looking to do big things in that World Cup that they are playing in. But as for Morocco, it's just. It's their first ever World Cup. I mean, they've been able to make it out of the group stage. I think they should be happy with themselves, and they should be happy even if they get beat by France. Maybe they can just go and come back next time, better prepared and everything, and then they can do something. I mean, it's the first time that their men made it to the semi-final of the World Cup. I think that spirit is what they are riding on to get into this Women's World Cup and all of that. But if they are able to beat France, it will be a big, big shocker. But Nigeria, England, let's go Lionesses.
And Terry, just on Morocco, I mean, once again, they didn't get here by chance. We saw the stories by their men's team when they got to the semi-finals of the World Cup, the investments that they made into infrastructure, to talent development, and also to the technical acumen of coaches, starting schools for them
all
here
this analysis,
and taking them
outside. I didn't hear this analysis when they lost 6-0 against Germany.
Oh, of course, football is like that.
I didn't hear all this analysis. No, now they've won and facilities and development is coming.
No. Okay. The thing is, 10 years ago, who was talking about Moroccan women's football in Africa? No one.
Nobody.
They are literally coming from nowhere, and this is their first ever World Cup. And so we have to cut them some slack. But once again, they didn't get here by chance. And let me just go through a couple of things that they did to be able to ensure that women's football improves and grows at a very good rate in Morocco. First thing they did was They ensured to launch a professional league for the women, and then under 17 local championship for women as well. And then they went on to launch regional championship for women across the whole Morocco. And then quickly, once they saw that it was picking up, they adopted a minimum wage system. Okay. Something that even the men's leagues in Africa, just a handful of leagues in Africa, men's football have. And so these women are well paid, they're well incentivized, and the whole aim of all these projects was to ensure that they get up to 90,000 players playing women's football by 2024 in Morocco, which they are close to achieving. And so they've made it attractive, and people want to get into it now. And them getting to the round of 16 of the World Cup is a big deal, because now there's going to be a flurry of Moroccan children, female girls growing up who dream of one day being on the big stage. And sometimes these are some of the tough decisions, investments that you have to make to ensure that you reap a few years away.
Today I like the submissions of my guys in the studio. It's very brief, concise, straight to the point, yet powerful. No long trusses, whatever talk. But talk about women's football. Let's talk about the Mighties in 2 minutes before Sheikh joins us. Just 2 minutes. Germany, United States of America, Brazil, and Canada have all exited. Now, these are countries that we've associated with greatness when it comes to women's football globally, especially the United States and Germany. They are nowhere to be found now.
Please, I don't understand why they're adding Canada to this list. They frauded their way to Olympics 2 years ago, and everybody calls them.
Thank you very much.
I don't understand.
It's like saying Sharapova is Serena Williams' driver.
That's one of the weakest ever debuts.
Exactly.
But I mean,
because you see it all over. Like everyone is saying Canada, US, Germany, but I'm like, hey,
Canada no pay inside. Canada no pay inside.
No. At least they are worthy of mention.
They are not worthy of mention. No. They're not day inside.
One Olympics that you won.
Okay. So 1 minute to talk about this. Germany, United States, at least Brazil.
The truth, the hard truth is that the USA got into the markets early. Let me just borrow a term from my economics class. They got first mover advantage, where they entered the women's football scene early. And so they picked up, they got the talent. At the time, competition wasn't so attractive. There weren't a lot of teams. People hadn't really discovered women's football and thought it would be something big. And so the USA had the advantage, and they won a number of titles. Of course, take nothing away from them. They worked hard and they played well to get there. It was a time where it felt almost inevitable that before a World Cup kicks off, USA would have their names, entrenched on the trophy. But the thing is, the more they won, the more the Mundial became attractive. And the more other countries started to look at it and say, hey, if we're struggling at the men and we're never winning the World Cup, maybe just a couple of investments here and we will climb at the top. Because honestly, if you look at women's football, apart from USA, Germany, maybe Brazil, all the others are, and Japan, all the other countries are sort of in and around there. Some come, some go. There aren't really any consistent forces in there. And so you're looking at a team like England, who I think have taken women's football really seriously and have a very vibrant league running. And it's no surprise to see them here. And that's what we're seeing across countries like Sweden, countries like England. They're starting to invest a lot more in the women's game, and they're appreciating it more there. You're seeing the attendances in the league and all that. And unfortunately for the USA, maybe they slept a little. Complacency setting.
Is it not more to do with the fact that they have a number of key players who are now key to the team but new to the World Cup?
No, they didn't transition well.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Is the
Too many of the familiar faces.
Is the reason why Rapinoe is here. She shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
She should be in her house.
Much like Mata with Brazil.
Exactly. She also wears number 10, so the number 10s.
I get it.
Look, Alex Morgan and Rapinoe, I used to watch these people when I was 10, 12.
I was in secondary school.
Trust me, what Kawa said had nothing to do with Christian Pulisic. I'm just saying, it had nothing to do with Christian Pulisic. So don't think it's some number 10s outside of your borders.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Your head really hard.
So we move on from the Women's World Cup and we go straight to the conversation that I promised you, and this will be with our special guest. Before we get to that conversation, we are ready for him, and I'm told he'll be with us
but
in a few seconds.
But you didn't ask me what I thought.
What you thought about
the big guns crashing out.
Now you have the opportunity because I have luxury of 2 minutes.
I think the one that shocked me the most would have to be the USA. I wasn't expecting that one.
Penalty shootout.
It was quite.
That's anyone's game at that point, really.
Exactly, but I just thought that they'll kill the game before it even got to that level.
But Sweden are no pushovers. Remember that.
Sweden were the team that knocked them out in the Olympics.
But I think that this one would be a really tough one for them.
They shouldn't have even qualified to this stage. If Portugal had taken their chances.
So if you follow the group stage,
they are very bad.
You would realize United States have been extremely poor.
First game struggle
to the point. There's been so much backlash back home that the players have had to hold strategic interviews. They've used the media in Brazil very well to say that we thrive in situations like this where there's a lot of negativity.
Look, my point. So I thought that they were
celebrating in that final game against Portugal. They were celebrating a goalless draw and dancing. Look, Kali, she was mad. She wanted to faint in the studio. Look, the standards that the US team had.
Make sense.
There were times where they just used to crash the whole World Cup and beat everyone.
But we are saying that it is not just because the other teams have become so good. It's also because the United States are so poor now.
Yeah.
I just thought that they'll see it through.
Fair play today, they played Omo. At least I think this was probably their best game. But that's how football is.
It is their sins from the game against Portugal. The way they played against Portugal is what caught up with them today.
I don't doubt that.
They deserve to go home.
Yeah.
They deserve to go
home.
home.
Who are the new favorites now?
It's good.
Who are the new favorites now?
I think Japan.
Japan
is quite.
Japan closely followed by England.
Yeah. Japan.
England, I think, when they straight to a 3-back from their second game, they've become a lot more threatening up front with
it's
how
shocking
Lauren
no one
James
mentioned Spain, really.
I was saying Spain.
Oh no.
They have Putellas, really. Putellas is considered the best, if not one of the best in women's football.
I just have one sentence.
She's just behind Samke.
Please check what happened when Spain met Japan.
Exactly.
They demolished them. Look, they are not mates. They are not mates.
Fresh.
Well,
they are not mates at all.
Well, that's it.
Unless they avoid Japan in some way, somehow.
But let's go Nigeria.
Because right now it's Sweden who has to meet Japan in there.
Let's go Nigeria.
Oh, how?
I mean, Nigeria have done really well. They've gotten to the world stage, something the Black Queens couldn't do. Talk about the Black Queens. Let me speak to a former colleague, a man who used to write like me, a man who used to, question authority like me. These days, he's not like me. He's a big man. When I say big man, I mean you should see the blazer he's wearing. If you are listening to us on 3FM, I would just encourage you to just go, to Facebook. Just search for 3FM 927. Good evening.
Oh,
really?
Good evening.
Good evening. I hope you're well.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. I have followed you for a while now, and I've realized just how vocal you've become. What is your portfolio with the Ghana Football Association?
I'm a member.
I want you to introduce yourself to my audience.
I'm a member of the Division 1 League Board.
Division 1 League Board. How come you defend everything GFA then, even when it comes to national teams?
It's not everything, but things that I believe in.
Okay.
Things that go with my conviction.
So, are you aware that you speak more about other issues than the Division 1 itself?
That is when the issues come up.
Okay.
For example, as I'm here, if you have to talk about Division 1, I'll talk Division 1. But if issues about the GFA that I have knowledge on come up, obviously I'll have to talk to those issues.
Are you in law school?
Come again?
Are you in law school?
No.
Okay. Did that question shock you?
It didn't.
It didn't shock you?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I've had a lot of people telling me that I should do law in addition to what I have. So maybe
I asked that because I genuinely thought you were in law school.
I'm not.
You've become a great defender.
It's fair to say that.
Okay.
And my reason is that if you have information about something, if you have the information, you are usually forced to provide the information when it is needed.
Okay.
And that puts you in a defensive position.
Already?
Yes. For example, I traveled with the Black Stars to the World Cup. I was in the same hotel with the Black Stars. I ate with the players. Whatever they were doing in the hotel, I saw. So if an issue comes up about the conduct of the players, which I think was not the case, what do you think I should do?
You bring the facts out.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And that will obviously put me in a defensive position. So I call it information hazard.
Oh, really? That's
Yes.
your own personal take?
Yes.
Okay.
Information hazard. If even you have an information about something, for example, when you went to Morocco and they took you to tour the facility and everything you saw there, if somebody says something right now about Morocco and it is not true, you know.
Yeah, of course.
So you'll be forced to say the truth or put out the facts. And so in this instance, if it were to be Ghana, you are being defensive. That is how it is seen.
But for Morocco, you are spitting facts. If you are defending something else,
it is because it's not Ghana. If it has anything to do with Ghana, it happens. You are defending. People have even tried a lot to change my name, but
what?
To Sergio Ramos. Others say I am Thiago Silva.
Slight tackling the old yardie.
And look, when I was playing, I was a defender. With my heart, I was a centre back. Yes. Right now, if I show you this side of my body, slide tackles and everything, I still have marks there.
You look like someone who'll be wicked on the pitch.
Yes, I do.
I'll get to you and the GFA a lot, but you remember we're just talking about the women's World Cup,
and I was
Ghana
missed
out.
Kawawa.
Why? because he says he hates
his
Nigeria.
position. I think that we first of all have to look at it from the perspective of women's football on the continent.
Okay.
Our continent is a religious continent. This is Africa. Women football did not get into Africa the way it got into Europe.
Okay.
They accepted it at a very fast and early age. But we are later day saints.
Okay.
Accepting the sport. There were times in Africa where girls were not even allowed to do sports, let alone football.
Okay.
So it is taking time for people to understand football on the continent. And look, when you look at male football, all the countries that are doing very well in male football, most of them are Arabs. And Islamically, the way women play football, the Arabs are now coming up with a different cultural makeup that allows their women to also take part. Other than that, they were not allowed to take part. Their dress codes and other things. Morocco is a liberal Arabic country, but compared to Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, and the rest, when you see them play, you see that even their dress code is different from what you see when Morocco is playing. Morocco is liberal. So those things have really delayed the progress of women football on the continent. So if at the World Cup, we have 4 African countries participating, and we get 3 making it out of the group stage to the round of 16, first of all, I think it's a very good mark to see 3 African countries making it to the round of 16. South Africa couldn't make it after they made it to the round of 16 by being kicked out. But we still have Morocco and Nigeria. I think that the task ahead of Nigeria is very daunting, but they can still make it.
Okay.
I have learned something from football, and I learned it when Morocco were playing at the World Cup. Did you realize that after each game, Morocco were growing in confidence?
Yeah.
And it happens to every country. When Ghana went to the World Cup in 2006, our first time, after qualifying from the group, if we had beaten Brazil, we would have won the World Cup. Brazil eventually won the World Cup. 2006.
Because they are Brazil.
Sorry.
Even that it wasn't Brazil. Yeah.
Yes. we beat. If we had beaten Brazil, the confidence and the boost that it would have been given to the Ghana team would have been incredible. And it happens to every country. As they grow, as they keep on progressing in the competition, they grow in confidence. We saw Senegal in 2002.
Yeah.
From beating France, making it all the way to the quarterfinals. So it happens.
So when is Ghana going to be on that trajectory of winning games and growing in confidence to get to a certain level?
Okay. We've gone to that level before.
Okay.
And we crumbled. Mm-hmm. We only have to reassemble ourselves and start the agenda again. Okay. That is what we need to do now. In 2010, at the World Cup, we made it to the quarterfinal stage. But for Asamoah Gyan's penalty, maybe we would have been at the semi-finals of the tournament. So we've gone that high, and we came as low as even playing at the World Cup without picking a point, without winning a game at the group stage. That was in 2014. To the point that we didn't even qualify at all. That was 2018. To the point that we have qualified again. You understand? So we went up, we came down, and we are starting again. I think that we only have to be focused on what we are doing, build the base, and move. When we move, we'll be able to sustain a plan that will be able to push us through for a very long time. And I believe that process is ongoing. And if we give ourselves time and we build with patience, we'll be able to get there.
Is it not challenging enough that the GFA, would see what the likes of Zambia and South Africa are doing in women's football, and make it a lot more, of a priority? I look at what's happening with these other countries, and I'm asking how Ghana continuously since 2007, and Sheikh, that's a very long time. Since 2007, the Black Queens have not qualified for the World Cup. In fact, we've been at the World Cup 3 times. In 99, in 2003, and then 2007. In all of these tournaments, we've won once out of 9 matches, and that was against Australia. And even that, it was a dead game. Last game in 2003. Point I'm making is, women's football in Ghana has never really been big. Even if we've qualified for the World Cup 3 times in the past, we don't do anything there. And since 2007, nothing.
Okay, so if you conduct a study, you first have to go into why it was like that.
Okay.
And the whys will give you probables like the game was alien in the country.
At the time?
No, I'm coming.
Okay.
Even at the time that we had the Black Queens qualify for the World Cup in 1999, how many women's football clubs did we have in the country? At that time...
That's a fair point.
At that time, it was then becoming a sport in the country. So even people opening up their arms to welcome it was gradual. It wasn't as swift as you may see in other countries.
Yeah.
So it is a process. Now, it is very worrying to realize that all this while we have not been able to make it the way Ghanaians would have expected. At least you went to the World Cup in 1999.
Yeah.
You were there in 2003, in 2007. At least there's been a bit of consistency. But if there is no plan that will sustain all these World Cup appearances, in the end, it will crumble at a point, and you have to reassemble to be able to take off again. And all these years that you have mentioned, yes, we have not qualified, but we still play football in the country. Women's football.
But 16 years without qualifying, that's
it's huge.
Good. That's not good enough.
It's huge,
Yeah.
of course. So every administration that wants to make a mark with women's football will have to start with the base. Try to work a lot on coaching, just like Oreku indicated earlier in relation to Morocco. We all saw what the Moroccans did, especially with women's football. They started somewhere, started paying the players, building the technical acumen of coaches, doing scouting to pick up the players and all those things. That is how it must start. If we are able to start with that, we will be able to sustain a prolonged plan whilst we keep on with the original plan without, crumbling it.
Okay.
So, for example, if you have to start with under 15 female national team today by doing a national scouting, bring the players, the top players at the national headquarters where the coaches will have to, prepare them and nurture them for the future. What it means is that in 5 years' time, we are going to have about 20 or 30 players who will be right for the under 20.
Okay.
That is from the under 15. And on the journey to that 20 years, or in that 5 years journey, they will play under 17. They have the under 20. Whilst they are playing the under 17, we still prepare another team under 15 that is also coming to take over from them when they leave for the under 20 to become the under 17. And as that under 17 also
for good progression.
Exactly. So that is what we need to do. And I think that the FA has started a plan like that that must be, carefully orchestrated to ensure that we will be able to achieve this particular results with the national football philosophy, and then how they want to go about with scouting in this country. I have seen snippets of it, and if you look at the under 17 team or the under 16 team that Lai Kingston took to Serbia, they are players that were brought together by the national scouts that the GFA has put all around the country. Because as we are speaking now, all over the country, the GFA now have scouts in every region. And these regional scouts also have subordinate scouts at the various districts. So when youth tournaments are being played, school tournaments, juvenile football, they go there to look at these young players. In the first edition, under Lai Kingston and Zito, 10 players were brought from each region. And out of these 10 players, Lai Kingston picked his final 30 players from this.
Yeah.
And that is what he took to Serbia, and then we saw their performance.
And what's the progression of those players?
So those players will be moving to the next under 20.
Okay.
You understand? Don't forget that, you see, that is why I said earlier that when you are pregnant with a lot of information, sometimes you are seen as defending, but it may not be the case.
But why is it that your information is always, the information you have seems to always be in the favor of one person or one group?
Okay, so that is how it should be.
Okay.
That's how it should be.
Why?
That is the body that is doing the work. So they will have the information and they have to put the information out.
Do you not have any information from any club that is against the GFA, for example?
As in?
You say that you sit on so much information.
Yes.
And I'm saying your information seems very biased in the sense that it seems skewed towards defending the GFA, even though it might not, to you, it's not defending.
Okay,
but
so
it's credible information you have, and I'm saying, is it that you don't have any information from the clubs
not that
against the GFA?
I do.
Okay. So why don't you say those ones?
Like against the GFA.
Okay.
Most of the information that I also get from the clubs are usually suggestions and things that they would want the FA to do for them. For example, if you look at the juvenile level, in the just ended season, the GFA provided every region with 1,000 footballs for juvenile football Division 2 and Division 3. In Greater Accra alone, at my last check, they have about 800 and something clubs from Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 and coast football clubs. About over 800 clubs. So even with the 1,000 footballs that the GFA gave to the regional football associations, which you think is huge, in Greater Accra alone, each club got only one football. Only one. But it is 1,000 footballs. So the clubs came complaining that yes, they've seen the effort of the GFA in trying to help, but the footballs.
I mean, what is one football?
Exactly.
To a whole football season.
You understand? So obviously, but if you look at it in a bigger picture, we have 10 regions, and it is only the GFA providing 10 regions, 10,000 footballs.
The lack of interest in Ghana football, the investment of it and everything else, is it not just Okay, what would you say the problem is? Do you think it's the GFA's fault or failure to whip up interest from everybody else, or do you think that the clubs have a role to play?
It's a holistic problem. In fact, this is a thesis question. It's a multiplicity of factors. We have the areas that the clubs must take up.
Okay.
Have you ever heard Wafa complaining about football?
No.
What about Right to Dream Academy?
No, never.
Kembon Academy?
Never.
Why? Are they also not in Ghana? Are they not playing?
So your point?
My point is that the clubs also have a role to play.
Okay.
If they play their roles well, the burden will not even be on the GFA alone to provide all these things. Just like the point I was making, the GFA is giving 10,000 footballs in a season. 10,000 footballs.
Yeah.
And also, very huge. But at the end of the day, it is still scanty. So what it means is that the GFA will have to increase the numbers because they are the only providing organization or agency. The clubs themselves are not able to do anything for themselves to generate more footballs in addition. If they will do, it comes from a few philanthropists within the clubs. So the GFA will have to do more. Maybe next season it must be 20,000 or maybe 30,000 or perhaps even 50,000 so that each club can get as many as about maybe 5 or 10 footballs. You understand? But even with that, it will still not be enough.
Let me move on the conversation for the sake of time. I want you to assess Ghana football at the moment.
Assessments. Okay. Ghana football has a lot of branches.
Okay.
So if I am to assess, I can give a general perception or view about how I feel about Ghana football. But to do a proper assessment, I have to take the branches, maybe from the national teams, from club football, from structural development of football, grassroots football, you understand? Technical development, as in coaching, as in refereeing. These are skilled areas that we need expertise there. That also comes on board. Then we look at scouting. So it is very broad if I'm to look at it. But considering the structures that are being put in place, and I keep saying this, even if Ket Okraku in the next election does not win or they do not vote for him to become the GFA president, the structures that he has laid, if they are allowed to continue, in a few years to come, Ghana football will laugh.
Why? What are the structures? And this should be in a nutshell.
Okay.
What are the structures?
So the structures are putting in place a scouting department and ensuring that we'll be able to scout for young players all over the country and then take them through the system. That is number one. Then trying to develop refereeing with a catch them young refereeing policy. Today, a referee, somebody start refereeing at the age of 12 years. By 10 years, he'll be 22 years. And by the age of 22, he's supposed to have 10 years experience in the field. Is it a joke?
No.
So it's a structure. You understand?
Yeah.
Then you come to technical development of coaches. We've talked about referees. Then you come to coaches. And these are the skilled people who develop the sports. So if you don't develop them, then it means that you are having a problem. The major problem that after you have developed all these things, then becomes infrastructure. The FA itself is taking steps in putting up some of these infrastructure. The nation or the government is also doing its part to also support the infrastructure drive that will help the development of football in the country. So it works hand in hand. All over the world, wherever you go, we all know that infrastructure is the basic responsibility of the government. But where you have challenges in getting the government put all the infrastructure for you, you also have to do your part. Just like I indicated in the area of footballs. If the clubs are to do their parts and the FA also does its part, in the end, it will help all of them. So the FA is doing some in the area of infrastructure. We can talk about what is happening at Pram Pram currently. We can talk about what is happening in Win Congo, in the Upper East region, where the FA has constructed a new AstroTurf, and they have established a partnership with Bolgatanga Senior High School to start the GFA Academy in the northern part of Ghana. So I think that the structures are gradually being put in place. And if these structures are to work to perfection, Trust me.
But they are long-term structures, aren't they?
Obviously, you have to have a long-term.
So is that why people don't have a lot of hope in Mediama's African chances?
That is why I mentioned patience.
Okay.
It's a very key element in ensuring that we are able to achieve results. Patience. If we understand that we cannot just wake up a day, start competing and win, then it means that we understand the process of patience. We understand that whatever we are doing is gradual and it must go through certain processes before we begin to achieve results. For Mediama going to Africa, we saw their performance in the Ghana Premier League.
Yeah.
And we've seen performances of other clubs in the CAF club competitions. Usually, it happens like this. In the first season that Mediama went to Africa, when they were going, people were skeptical about their performance. But when they started and they won matches from their preliminary rounds, they started developing confidence going forward. And it helps.
And that's Kwesi Donsu's time, if you remember.
Exactly. He's still with the team.
But I mean, those were the times when he was scoring goals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The point I'm even making is that the moment they venture into Africa, watch almost all our clubs that had played in Africa, Bedford House and Kotoko. The moment they go to Africa, you see their performance even in the local league becomes different. We've seen Brecum Chelsea, we've seen Aduana Stars, we've seen Mediama SC. Anytime they go to Africa, the level of confidence in the players increases.
Okay.
Very huge. It also increases the level of thinking of the coaches.
Okay.
And you see it reflect in the performance of the teams. And most of them, because they are going to Africa and they want to at least sustain a certain level, they do not sell their players. Okay. So consistency is guaranteed.
You keep the quality. And
that consistency compels them to perform better when they go to the competitions. Okay. We saw Brecum Chelsea with the Bassets, with the Emmanuel, what do you call it? This player who went to Esperance, the former Olympic striker who went to Esperance. He is now a coach with Cheetah FC. I've forgotten in Emmanuel something. You know, those were the Solomon Asante, Kisi Boateng, Glasena Wako and the rest. They were very consistent with Brecum Chelsea. And we saw their performance. When you come to Aduana Stars, when Aduana Stars were performing, we saw also the performances of Yaya Mohammed, what do you call Emmanuel Okeokun, Ebubulebu and the rest. So consistency is always very key for a club when they are playing in Africa. And I think for Mediama and for that matter, Dreams FC, who are also taking part in the competition, of course, they will test the waters. They will play their opponents. And that will shape them. Sometimes they go into the competition with little confidence. But as they meet their opponents and they are able to beat them, they feel that, oh, we can do it. Yeah. So then it pushes them on and on and on.
Let me take you to the Division 1 before we do the elections. I mean, our time is up, unfortunately, but I'll just steal 5 more minutes. Let's do Division 1.
Okay.
What have been your achievements so far?
Ooh. Well, first of all, when I joined the Division 1 League Board, we decided to go on a media drive. You know, trying to make the Division 1 much more visible than it used to be. Yeah. Because the spotlight was always not on the Division 1, but it was a calculated plan from the board. And because I am in the media, the board gave me that responsibility, that we have to make the Division 1 much more visible. So in our first season, we had a lot of statistics on the Division 1. Goal scorers charts, we had fixtures, we have goal king race, we had times, videos and everything of players who are scoring goals. So it was not surprising that under Siki Akono, when he was doing his first call-up as a Black Stars coach, he called 3 players from the Division 1 League.
Okay.
Ansu Kofi Patrick, I remember Kofi Wilbeck from Bofakwatano, and then one player, I think Andy Kumi.
Okay.
Andy Kumi. You know, he called these players to the Black Stars and assessed them. And I think Evans Eti of Accra Lions at that time was the only player who was still left in the team after the primary stage. So we were able to put the Division 1 at that particular level. Again, if you look at the Division 1, apart from the media spotlight, you realize that most of the clubs play very good football.
Yeah.
A case in hand is a game between 11 Wonders and Bofokotano at Accra Sports Stadium in the playoff.
It was
super game.
It was brilliant.
Super game.
Yeah.
And it is because at that level, the FA insisted that there will not be any coach there who does not have a license B to head a team in the Division 1 league. Initially, our clubs came to us that we should plead with the FA to allow those who are still handling the clubs to go on with it, so that as time goes on, they begin to change. First season, that was allowed by the FA, but the second season, they were strict, and that was not allowed. And when the clubs came, we told them that, look, it's not going to be possible. Last season, we pleaded for you, but this season, you have to keep it and ensure that you have a license B coach, or better still, a license A. And that is reflecting in the performance of the clubs. And one key thing for the Division 1 clubs is that the club licensing does not make the venue requirements of the Division 1 club as strict as that of the Premier League clubs. So you have a Division 1 league club that has a very good playing field to play on. The primary requirement from the start will be a dressing room and an inner perimeter.
Yeah.
But with the Premier League club, it goes beyond that. So you have a Premier League club that has a dressing room, an inner perimeter, and all the other requirements that the club license board will ask for. But maybe the pitch on which they are playing in the course of the season will deteriorate. But with the Division 1 league clubs, most of them were having astroturfs scattered around their areas. And so they got very good pitches to play on. So the coaches had advantage of coaching their teams well and getting very good results. So at the Division 1 league level, a lot of things have happened. And finally, if you look at Zone 1, Division 1 was always considered as the wilderness of Ghana football because of the level of hooliganism, the level of aggression and other things. But it was also a key point for us to be able to reduce the level of hooliganism at that level. So clubs were trained on security, issues by the FA. They were compelled to bring their club, security officers who were trained by the FA, and they also went down to train their club stewards in order to ensure security at the match venues. At matches that we realized that the tension was very high, military, intervention was brought on board to ensure that sanity and safety prevail at the match venues. Now, if you look at Zone 1, you realize that the zone was divided into two in the just ended league. It was done for a purpose.
Why?
In all honesty, the Zone 1 was always the hottest zone when it comes to the Division 1 league in terms of aggression, crowd violence, and hooliganism. When clubs from the north come to the Bonafo, you see, when the Bonafo clubs go there, you see the same tension. So the GFA then decided, in consultation with the Division 1 League Board, that the zone is divided into two, so that we play Zone 1A and Zone 1B. And proximity was one key factor that was considered. And so you have clubs in Tamale, Wa, Bolga, Yendi, and the rest playing in one zone, and the clubs in the Bonafo region also playing in another zone. And this has reduced the level of hooliganism in that particular zone a lot. And so this season, we did not hear a lot of issues regarding hooliganism. Not that they did not happen, but they were hugely minimized, because what would have triggered maybe tension in a match between maybe Nswatreman and then Tamale City will not be seen, because Tamale City is playing in Zone 1A.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then the other club is playing in Zone 1B. So we were able to kill or maybe reduce that level of aggression and hooliganism in that particular zone. So for the Division 1 league, a lot have gone into trying to mitigate the level of aggression, hooliganism, violence, and all those things. Officiating, a lot of people have spoken about it. Yes, it's a challenge, but you see, when you are developing an institution, some of the key things that make the institution better are the key things that are problematic, and officiating is one.
Okay.
At that level, we've had clubs complain a lot, and especially in the first and second seasons in the Division 1 league, clubs complained a lot about officiating. We had referees who were beaten at certain centers, venues were banned to set as warning to most clubs, and all those warning signs are yielding results now, because those venues that referees go there and, you know, a little mistake from the centerman receives slaps and all those things, when they are punished, it affects the clubs.
Yeah, of course.
And so they turn back to speak to their fans to control them on how they react to match officials on match days. Okay. And that has also helped, you know, and you see, the FA introduced something that we call the referees complaint form. And at the beginning of every season, each club is given this complaint form. Okay. So when a referee comes to your center and you feel that, no, this game I've been given a raw deal, just indicate the incidents that you felt should have been in your favor, that the referee went against you. Take it to the match review panel. When they review the game and you are right, the referee is either suspended or fined or punished. When that happens, the referees themselves become extra careful.
Yeah.
And that has also helped in sanitizing the system. So it is a whole process.
Okay.
A whole lot of things going on at the Division 1 level.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite remarkable the steps you guys have taken to sanitize the system, especially because it didn't get a lot of the attention. Let's move on from there. Let's do the elections. The presidential elections at the Ghana Football Association. I know you're very well connected to high officials at the GFA. What went into the thinking for the elections to be so close, from when it was announced to when it should happen?
Well, for me, I was even thinking that it was going to be in the month of October.
That's what we all thought.
That was my thinking, because if you read the regulations, it gives a time frame as to when the elections must be conducted, and September falls within that time frame that the regulation gives. Now, for me, I don't see it to be very close.
Why?
And I don't see it to be very far.
Why?
Theory, if me, Sheikh Tofik, would contest for any position at the FA, I wouldn't wait for an election roadmap before I start. No, I won't. If I do that, I'm not serious. Yes, anybody who was waiting for the election roadmap before they start their plans or their campaigns or their messages to the electorates to get elected into any position, the person is not serious.
When should you start?
Look, we all know that 2023 is the fourth year of Ket's administration, and elections will be conducted. So me, even if I had not started anything in the previous years, from January coming, I'll have to start my plans.
But how do you speak to delegates when campaign hasn't started?
No. That's why I'm saying that you don't need somebody to tell you to start campaigning.
But why would you start campaigning when officially it's not been open to campaign?
But you don't need to go and stand on a podium and say that I am campaigning.
Football politics isn't like that anyway.
Exactly. We have 124 people voting. I know your house. I know where you work. I have your number.
Okay.
Why must I wait for the time before I start? Even if I wait for roadmap to be announced before I start calling you or I start speaking to you, it means that my interest is only because of the election. But I must be with you for you to feel how I am behaving like a family member. Because in the GFA elections, apart from all the things that you will do as a leader of the association, your relationship with your members count a lot. If you don't have a good relationship with your members, you will lose the election.
Let me ask you, does Ket have a great relationship with the delegates?
Yes.
All of them?
He does.
All of them?
No, you have 124 people. For now, yes, I can say all of them. Even those that are perceived to be clubs that didn't vote for him in the previous election, he has good relationship with them.
As in he's won them over this time? Is that what you feel?
Well, I think so. Because of his leadership style and how he has related with them. Okay. Obviously, if you are a human being and you believe in the philosophy of change, it wouldn't be difficult for you to change your mind towards him. even if you did not vote for him in the first election. Let me give you a quick example.
Okay.
In the previous election, who were the key financiers of George Afriye?
I don't know. You tell me.
Moses Amapaka.
Oh, he was?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know.
And then Dr. Kwamiche. I hope you are aware.
I heard.
Okay. But today, these are very good friends of Kets. But people think that, you know, he is not getting closer to the people.
Is it because he has the power now?
No, it's not because of that. But even in the previous, don't forget that in the previous election, George Afriye was contesting as a former vice president of the FE.
Okay.
Former vice president of the FE. But Ket was not contesting as a former president of the FE.
But I mean, we need to also be real. I mean, George had vacated that role a long time ago before the election.
No. It was a year.
Yeah, but that's still a lot of time. Considering all of that happened before the Anas expose.
No, he when he moved away from the Kwesi Nyantakyi administration, it did not get to a year before Anas expose came. Yeah. So all put together.
But remember his fallout with Nyantakyi, again, context. His fallout with Nyantakyi made him lose friends in the Ghana football ecosystem.
No, it happens.
Yeah.
For example,
so I'm just saying, it might have been one day before, but the fact that you fight with Yeni and your boss means that you're not a friend anymore. So it makes it easier for other people, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that relationship with Kwesi Nyantakyi, if it's anything to go by, it's still there.
So you say that that's one of the reasons Ked still has an upper hand?
No, I'm not saying that is one of the reasons. It could be a reason.
Okay.
But the point I am making is that the relationship that he has been able to establish with the clubs now, the delegates, it's something that you cannot underestimate.
Okay. So let me ask you though, 50,000 nomination fee. If you were a candidate, would you have been happy with this?
Yes.
Hey, shake.
I want to contest for the GFA seat, and I can't get 50,000 to.
It's not that you can't get. Is it not too much?
It's not.
Why?
It's the value that has been placed on the seat that you are chasing for.
Sir.
Yes.
So you mean before it didn't have value?
Look, we had people who were buying popularity with 5,000 cities when GFA elections were getting closer. We know them.
Like who?
Now, I wouldn't want to mention any name. But we know. They will go and pick nomination forms, get all the publicity that they need in this country for just 5,000 cities. They know they will not win. But they have been able to popularize themselves with 5,000 cities. But today, the same people will not even come closer because they will not be able to afford the 50,000 cities that have been placed on the seat. So I think that it is the value that has been given to the seat. And I don't think that any other president who comes even after Ked will say, look, the 50,000 cities is too exorbitant. Let's come back to 5,000 cities.
But I mean,
maybe the ESCO members will not even agree with
the person. Your reason for why the GFA decided to increase from 5,000 makes sense, but to 50,000?
Yes.
That's 1,000%.
It's okay. It is the GFA presidential seat that you want.
1,000%.
Yes, it's okay. It's the reason why when the clubs went to Congress.
So you're doing this to scare off other candidates?
Not to scare off anybody, but to give a value to the seat that people want to occupy.
You defend this very well as well.
No, but that is how I feel.
Why is every feeling of yours defending the GFA?
Well, that is why I said that is how you see it, but that is my perception. Okay, that is my thinking. That's how I see it.
I've been told to move on. Already, I've gone 15 minutes past when I was supposed to end the conversation with you. But let me ask you, finally, before you get out of the studio, assess the Ghana Football Association for me currently. Over 10.
Over 10, I'll give Ked 8.
8 over 10.
Yes. And it is because
that's a rather high score.
Yeah, it is.
Considering our national teams are failing.
Good. So that's why the 2 is out.
The national teams are 2?
Yes.
It's 2?
Look, if we are to do a mathematical assessment of the national teams,
okay,
it is not as bad as people think. Yes.
Okay, please. So do this in 2 minutes for me.
Okay, I'm doing it in 2 minutes. Quick.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Blasters.
Yeah.
We did not qualify for the World Cup in 2018. We qualified for 2022.
But we all know what happened in 2018
No, I'm coming.
in Ghana football.
I'm coming. No, we did not qualify for the World Cup before Anas Esposé came.
Yeah, but I mean, at the time, we're still going through a lot of issues.
Like Nilante.
A lot of issues.
Like Nilante.
A lot of issues.
He was even one of the reasons why we didn't qualify.
I won't mention names, but a lot of issues.
He was even one of the reasons why we didn't qualify.
Okay. So you're saying that qualifying to the World Cup in itself.
Yes.
But it's not like it was our first time qualifying.
I understand.
I
understand.
Okay.
We are looking at it, we are assessing it in perspective in relation to where we are coming from.
Okay.
So we qualified in 2006, in 2010, in 2014. We should have qualified in 2018. We didn't. So it was a 0 for us, from 3 to 0.
Yeah.
Then we qualified in 2022. So from 0 to 1 is a plus. The last time we qualified for the World Cup, which was in 2014, we did not win a game. Even at the group stage. In 2022, we won 1 game. But mathematically, it's an improvement.
Okay, move on.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that is with the Black Stars.
Yeah.
Then you come to the Black Galaxies.
You missed out on one failure. The AFCON.
The
AFCON 2021.
Oh, yes.
Terrible
for that,
failure.
it is.
Did you intentionally miss it?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. Okay. It's because you gave me only 2 minutes.
Okay.
So I have to, make it snappy and double.
So move on. So next mathematical.
The Black Galaxies.
Okay.
The Galaxies on 3 consecutive occasions did not qualify for the CHAN.
Okay.
2015.
They did.
2017. 2019. And in all these instances, I was the media officer of the team.
Okay.
In 2019, I was the deputy to Comnatre Stuttgart.
2 minutes. When we went your personal portfolio.
So no. Okay. I'm trying to give a perspective.
Okay.
In all these, we didn't qualify, but we qualified this year in 2023.
Yeah.
And when we went, we were able to make it out of the group to the round of 16. Of course, Ghana. So everybody will be expecting that when you go to the tournament, beat everybody. You understand?
Yeah.
But we forget where we are coming from. So if we have not qualified on 3 consecutive occasions and we have qualified, would you call that a failure? Then you come to under 20. We've had plus and minuses at under 20 level. In 2020, we went to WAFU, we won. We went to the AFCON in 2021, we won. And qualified for the World Cup in Indonesia. Then COVID cancelled the World Cup. Under 20. But the previous year, we couldn't qualify. So for the under 20, it's plus and minus. The only national team that I think that is being a very big, thorn in the neck of the association is the under 17. Yes. Consider they've not been able to. They didn't qualify in 2020 in Togo. Then and when we hosted it here in Ghana in 2022 too, we couldn't qualify.
Okay. So when you put all of these things together, you think Ketokriku's administration is 8 over 10? 8 over 10. Including Ghana football, including women's football.
Yes.
Including
as for women's football, currently in Ghana, they are at the beneficial end of CARE's administration. Yes.
Why?
They enjoy everything in Ghana football than even the men. Women's football. Look at the women's clubs. From footballs to boots
the performance of the clubs outside. What's it got to do with CARE?
No, it's because of the environment that is being created for them here.
You keep going back to that word environment. Which environment? Which environment have you created?
I'm coming.
Okay.
The clubs are now having their coaches going for coaches that is expanding their capacity.
Okay.
And obviously it will reflect in the performance of these clubs. We've seen the coach of Ampem Dakwa enjoying that. We've seen Yusuf Basigi, Babanu Humalam, Joyce Bote, and so obviously when their capacity is expanded, it reflects in the performances of the clubs, and we are seeing it.
Okay.
So when I talk about environment, one of the environments that is being created is the capacity.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. Sure.
So women's football has even become much more visible now than before. And we know, first, hardly will you even see women's football matches live on TV. Now we have them live on TV, and every weekend on all the social media platforms of the FA, you have self-produced women's football matches by the FA that is being shown everywhere. So, and that has increased the interest from corporate Ghana. Is the reason why they are the only, area, the Women's Premier League that has 2 title sponsors. Betway and Motor Guinness.
And how much money? How much money? If they are 30 and the money is not as huge as what one other institution is also bringing somewhere else, it's not comparable.
Okay.
The fact that there are 2 doesn't mean You understand? But you get my point.
Ora, help me. Divide $250,000 by 18 clubs. Let's see how much each club will get.
Now you are going too detailed. I'm just saying.
No, I'm just trying to give you a picture.
I also give you my picture.
$13,000.
I also give you my picture,
Okay.
and I'm saying what the Bet Power as a company sponsoring the GPL will be giving the GPL compared to what Malta Guinness and Betway will be doing for the Women's Premier League. I'm just saying, don't use the fact that it's 2 years and it's 1 year means it's better.
Oh, I understand your point.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we'll go back to where I started from.
When it didn't have anything at all.
No, not that. But women's football and men's football, the perception of Ghanaians reflects in how even corporate Ghana sees women's football.
True.
You understand?
Yeah.
So the zeal with which they will be ready to pump in monies into the men's football will not be the same as women's football.
Okay.
With Bet Power, each club is getting $30,000. You understand?
Yeah.
But with the women's football, it's not like that.
Okay, let me just end it here. But I think it's been a brilliant conversation. Touching on everything Ghana football. Unfortunately, we couldn't go as deep as I wanted us to. Mainly because
hopefully I can come back next.
Yeah,
week.
you should, and we can conclude on several other issues. But of course, Sheikh has been having this conversation with me. Any final words before I go? Few seconds.
I just love your introduction. Former colleague,
yeah, you're a former colleague. Now you're a lawyer. Now I can't call you a journalist. You're a lawyer. I can't boldly look into your face and say you're a journalist.
Kawawa too was my friend, though. But
was.
It's like
was.
But the way he's quiet, I don't think he's my friend again.
No. Actually, true. For some reason today, Yao and Oreku have been really quiet. When we have guests in the studio, usually they chip in questions here and there. But today they've left it all to me.
No. But I think today you had it.
Yeah. It's been covered.
Yeah. Today you had it well. So we just had to leave you.
So Sheikh, thank you very much, and we'll see you some other time. But Yao and Oreku are still here with me, and maybe Sheikh will also join a conversation. That is, if he's interested in foreign football, because that's where we are going now.
But Thierry, before we go to foreign football, there's some breaking news, and Benjamin Asamati will not be at the World Championships
in Budapest.
In Budapest, yes, because he has a severe groin injury, and this is a statement that he's sent.
Okay.
And he says, due to a severe groin injury I sustained during my outdoor session in Europe about a month and a half ago, I am forced to withdraw from the highly anticipated 2023 World Athletics Championships in Budapest, Hungary. Additionally, the stress of traveling between continents to obtain a working US visa in Barbados while competing at a high level exacerbated the injury. Unfortunately, the injury did not heal as anticipated, and medical advice suggests I take time off running. While I would have loved to represent my country and compete on the world stage, my management team and I have unanimously decided against competing in the championship for fear of exacerbating the injury and jeopardizing my long-term potential. So that's the message that he's put out, and from Benjamin Asamati, and he's not going to be there. But in his place, local athlete Edwin Gadai will step in, and he will be running at the World.
I'll let you do a lot of research on Gadai.
Yeah.
So we have a more detailed conversation about Ghana's chances in Budapest. Considering, Asamati is our poster boy, and he losing, or missing out on the athletics is huge. Yeah. A huge blow, to Ghana's chances.
There was an Emmanuel Yeboah in athletics.
Yes.
Where is he?
He still runs. So he's part of the 4x100 relay team. Okay. But the thing is, the relay team has Joseph Odromenu also in there, and then Emmanuel Yeboah. So what they do is that Emmanuel Yeboah is some sort of a substitute.
Oh, okay.
And so if Odromenu is not there, then he comes in. But the thing about Ghana's chances also is that Sean Safuenchi is older now. He doesn't have the power that he used to have.
Yeah.
And also Joseph Paul Amwa might not be able to run at this World Championships. And so there's we still have it to do.
I think next week, Oreku, I think next week we'll have a more detailed conversation about athletics, and also to whip up interest in Ghana athletics and what we have to do going forward, especially in Hungary. But I think there's a big blow to Ghana's chances, Oreku.
Yeah, I think so. And it's always about the psychological damage. To see a leader like Benjamin Azamati not participate in the competition would be a big blow. But it's rather unfortunate. And maybe it could be an opportunity for a younger athlete to come in. But yeah, looking long term, what would this mean for his prospect of maybe in the Olympic Games? You're looking at how long is he going to be out for, and also most importantly, time is not on his side. You know that the World Athletics Championships is almost like maybe the World Cup or something. It's very big, and it doesn't come around often. And so you're looking at your age and the fact that you have to miss another one. And I think it's the momentum from the last one, the Commonwealth Games and all. It could have been something good for Team Ghana. You remember, I think the Commonwealth Games, I believe that if we didn't make that technical error, Ghana would have made a medal. Maybe, medaled in the final. But it's not unfortunate that this time poster ball will not be there. So I wonder how that would affect the momentum as well. But it's definitely a good look.
All right, so we move on the conversation. And remember, you are listening to Sports Ultras right here on 3FM 92.7.
This is 3Sports, the best sports team in the country. Get interactive with us across all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at 3SportsGH.
Welcome back here to Sports Ultras, and this is still 3FM 92.7. We're going straight to, the club friendlies. It's been really, really interesting there. Man United wrapped up their preseason tour or friendly games against Bilbao earlier today, and it wasn't a good look on Harry Maguire, but of course a very important equalizer at the death. And what this will do to the Man United team is confidence and the fact that they still aren't losing, but it was still against a 10-man Bilbao for a majority of the second half, and a lot of people thought Man United should have taken advantage of that.
First of all, I want to start with Maguire. I think sometimes the criticism the guy gets is very unfounded. I mean, people just have it in their heads that Maguire is bad, and so everything he does in their head is bad. I mean, he's not a great player, but I think that he's good enough to be playing top level football, and I don't think that sometimes the criticism is deserved.
Was a mistake today?
I think the mistake was quite poor. He could have done better, but this is typical Maguire. He could have
footwork problem.
He could have a good game, but there will be that one mistake, and that's what cost him today. But I think United will go into the new season. Maybe not with that level of confidence, so high up. But I think that it's good for United to go into the season like this, because then they wouldn't place themselves on a certain pedestal where they feel like they're going to take the league by storm or whatever, and then they're going to disappoint like they did last season. Last season, United didn't start the league too well. They lost 4-0 to Brighton, 4-0 to Brentford, and then they had to come back against Liverpool. This time around, they're playing at home against Wolves in the first game. So hopefully they start building up pretty fast, and then they're able to do it. Today in the game against Bilbao, I don't think that I was worried with what I saw. I thought that the youngsters who were given an opportunity to play did their best. Omari Forsen, Alvaro Fernandez. There was also Facundo Pellistri and Dangor also in there. I thought that all of them, played their hearts out, and then they were good. And Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof in the back, and all of that. I think that what Erik ten Hag used this game for was to identify another team that he can count on when the going gets tough in the league. And I think that he's taking note of a few of the players, and hopefully he goes into the season well, and then United can do well in the league. I mean, as for winning anything, I can't call it now, but I think that United will be competitive this season.
Oreku, you'll not touch on Man United, but you talk about Chelsea. Chelsea played against Dortmund, their last friendly game. Nkunku, one of the men they want to rely on in the coming season, got a knock on the knee. Would miss the start of the season, a big blow as Chelsea face Liverpool. But there's also Nicholas Jackson, who has been like the shining light for this Chelsea side in this preseason. And there's talk of Caicedo deliberately missing the Brighton game as protest because he wants to move out. summarize all of this and how Chelsea's start to the season will look like?
First off, brilliant preseason for Pochettino. Walked into a very chaotic environment, and he since managed to calm the storm.
Yeah.
And he's managed to at least instill some optimism heading into the new season. For you to get an idea of the size of the cloud Chelsea had to do, you just have to look at the context and the fact that despite all the outgoings that we've seen from Chelsea so far, the team still looks bigger than the average squad size that you need. And so Pochettino has headaches in midfield.
About 12 players have left. And still between someone like Casade and then Santos, one of them probably has to leave. Santos, you're looking at Lewis Hall. Where does he fit into the team? Matson, where does he also fit in the team? Chaloba, with the new signings coming in, where does that also live? And Broya, is he part of the squad, going forward and all that? So there's still a number of question marks, but you would expect Pochettino to kind of iron it out whilst the season goes on. It's rather unfortunate that he would not have the full complement of the team that he would probably have for the majority of the season because signings are not complete. You expect them to wrap up the Caicedo deal where the player is keen on the move. De Zerbi sounded very frustrated this afternoon. He was asked about it. He went on to say that, if Caicedo leaves, they'll find another replacement. If he stays, they would enjoy him. That sounds like a coach who's given up because, Brighton's stance on Caicedo was quite tough in previous discussions. But now they are coming across as a club that are accepting the fact that Caicedo would leave. It's a matter of if, when rather than if. So I think that's where Chelsea are at the moment. Unfortunately, they play Liverpool in the Premier League for the opener. It could have been better. This is a time where you're wishing that the fixtures would have been kinder to you, that you'd have a more manageable start to the season as you assess your squad and keep on signing players. But the other advantage could be that this could be that reality check. Perhaps how the squad manages itself against Liverpool will give them an idea of how far they are from the top four and whether those challenges could be fixed in the market with a few days to go. All right, guys, thank you very much. It's been another edition of, Sports Ultras, and it's been a pleasure coming your way and, knowing that you are doing the listening wherever you are, from wherever you joined us. I have also a message for you that next week, Saturday, that is next Saturday on the August of the 12th August, there is a big event happening right on the forecourts of Media General, and it is the Warm-Up Esports Festival, the Warm-Up FIFA Festival. I'm talking about FIFA 2023. And don't just come with your people. Let them, root for you in the process. It's going to be a battle between, great social media influencers. We have musicians coming through. Ex-footballers will also be passing through. So you have your celebrities that you will be spending time with, and you definitely will be enjoying the moment. It's not just the video game, but also table tennis. There is basketball. There is small pools. Football small pools. There's everything, and it will be fun. There's a lot of music, and it's also the start of the English Premier League. So it definitely will be, a lot of